Hello and welcome back to Typical City. What a comeback that was. 3-2 against RB Leipzig, confirming our top spot in the group. We are now into the knockout stages. We were before the game last night, but last night's performance, was it a good one? Was it a convincing performance from Manchester City? I don't believe it was. I really don't believe it was. And I know there's plenty of football fans out there that will look at this game and go, well, who cares? Who cares? We won. We won the game. That's what champions do. We turned it round. We played well for that final 20 minutes or 25 minutes of the second half, and we won the game, and that's all that matters. When I think there's a bigger picture at play here, we need to look at form, we need to look at momentum, we need to look at consistency between numerous individuals and the team as a whole. Now, if you are one of those types of fans that looks at the game and goes, I don't care who played bad or who played well, let's stop having a go at City players and stop analysing the players, we won the game and that's all that matters, then this video isn't for you. This video isn't for you. You might want to go and find another channel to go and find and laud Manchester City as the perfection that they are, because they were far from perfect yesterday, far from perfect. And if you don't like the analytical side of the game, this channel might not be for you, because I'm going to get into why stats and using the eye test, a combination of the two is what should always be applied when analysing football players and performances like last night, because the statistics you're about to see are mind-blowing. And why you go to these statistical websites where I gather a lot of my information, my statistical information from these websites, they use an algorithm. The score they give to each player is based on an algorithm purely on the stats. So all the stats equate to the eventual number that they're given, all based on the stats. And you're going to see why, because anyone who knows, who watched my reaction to the video yesterday, and anyone who joined in the watch along will have seen me having a go at numerous City players that I thought were well below their standards usually yesterday. Rodri in particular, Ruben Diaz as well. Those two stood out as players that did not have good games. They didn't have good games. And what the algorithm has given Rodri will blow your mind, because there's no way he had a good game yesterday, and I'll get onto that in a minute. But in terms of the match stats, you can see them right here. It was pretty one-sided from City. 70% possession to RB Leipzig's 14 shots to their 5. We got more shots on target against Liverpool, which tells a story. 6 of them on target, 3 for RB Leipzig. 1.78 XG, so we well overperformed by scoring 3. The XG tells another story, that we weren't firing on all cylinders creatively. 5 big chances created though, which is decent considering it was only a 1.78 XG. 796 passes, so close to the 800 mark. That was a lot of passing them to death to their 326. 10 fouls to their 11 and a yellow card. Now, moving on to the player ratings, let's have a look. First of all, we've got Ortega, who had a reasonable game. There's not much he could have done about their 2 goals, really. It came from mistakes that were ahead of him in defence. 90 minutes played, 42 touches, 97% passing accuracy. I thought his distribution in the second half was really good. There was a couple of passes that he fired right down the spine of RB Leipzig that was really good. He produced 1 save and 0s in the rest of his column. So 6.5 for Ortega. Considering you let in 2, albeit not really his fault, he was okay. Kyle Walker, 54 minutes played, 37 touches, a quiet game for Kyle Walker. He did have that quite, as a 3 at the back, as the right side of a 3 at the back. He was very much pinned to the wing for the majority of the game, and often and pushing forward as well. 1 tackle, 2 interceptions, 1 clearance. He dribbled past 0 times, and he attempted 0 dribbles as well. 6.5 for Kyle Walker. Ruben Diaz, that was a calamitous mistake. A calamitous mistake. And you know what's interesting about these errors and the stats that you see? Errors that lead to a goal, for example. So let's talk about Josko Gvardiol. That mistake that he made against Chelsea. And that's what, I don't think it was that big a mistake, because he actually positioned him well. It was a poor pass from Cole Palmer that got underneath Gvardiol and he didn't know what to do with it. Now, if you go on a football pitch, that's exactly where he was meant to position himself. If you're taught anything, if you know anything about defending, he positioned himself correctly. He blocked the channel and he kept himself close enough to Reece James. That poor pass from Cole Palmer against Chelsea got underneath him, and it was such a poor pass that Gvardiol wasn't expecting it to come underneath him. There wasn't much else he could have done in that situation, because it was just unfortunate. It ricochets off his heel because he can't see where he's going. He can only run in one direction at one time, you know? And it hits his heel, lands fortunately to Reece James, who crosses it to Raheem Sterling to make it 2-1 Chelsea. That situation and that fact went down as an error. That went down as an error. Now, Ruben Dias going flying in for a tackle on Openda, who spun him on the halfway line, bursts through on goal and gets his goal. Ruben Dias committed a clinical error in that situation. As a defender, you know that's an error, but statistically, nope, not considered an error because it was an attempted tackle. You shouldn't even be trying that tackle, and that is why these stats can be flawed, and there is not enough accuracy in who played well and who didn't play well, going purely off stats, and why people who rely on them, they generate your own opinions. They do not have enough of knowledge in the game to enact a full opinion, to give us a real opinion that's based on footballing knowledge, because these statistics are flawed. Ruben Dias committed an error yesterday and he did not get one. In fact, he got a 6.5. The statistical score that was given to Ruben Dias was a 6.5. You're giving Ruben Dias a 6.5 for that 45 minutes of football that he played. I mean, he was well off it yesterday, and mistakes were very clear. One big one that cost us a goal. But one tackle, he's dribbled past once, interception 1, 2 clearances and no block shots. But that error was huge, and his distribution wasn't the best. In 93 touches, 90% passing accuracy for 45 minutes of football isn't bad. But there were times where it was that one big error, wasn't it? And in Ruben Dias's form, the Chelsea game, he was poor. Last night, he was poor. So need to see more from Ruben Dias, 5 out of 10. Akanji, another error that's not recorded as an error. Clearly, going in on an Openda at the halfway line like that, you do not commit as last man like that. Commit he did, and Openda spins him just before he spins Ruben Dias. 5 minutes or 10 minutes before that. But the stats tell a different story, that he didn't have that bad a game. I thought he definitely improved Manuel Akanji in that second half, because he was fine. He was breaking the lines really well with some of his passes from defensive midfield. 96% passing accuracy is decent. Really good from Akanji in that regard. 116 touches, so he saw a lot of the ball. But 0 tackles, 0 interceptions, 1 clearance, 2 out of 2 aerial duels, and 1 shot that wasn't on target, so 6 for Akanji, and that includes the fact that he made the mistake. Gvardiol, I thought he was good in the second half, got himself an assist, of course, which has definitely bumped his score up a little bit. 131 touches is decent, 89 minutes played, 95% passing accuracy, 2 key passes as well, one of which one was a pass to Phil Foden that was really a brave pass, because Foden was marked, but he trusted Foden and he trusted his ability to find the feet of Phil Foden, and that resulted in City's equaliser. I thought he was decent in the second half, Gvardiol. I thought he could have done a lot better with Openda's run after Ruben Dias's mistake. Gvardiol tries to get across to cover. I thought he could have shepherded him away from goal much better than he did, allowing Openda onto his right foot. That's a mistake as well. Poor defending in that regard, but other than that, I thought Gvardiol was pretty decent, in particular in the second half. 2 out of 2 aerial duels as well, so 7 out of 10 for Gvardiol. Nathan Ake, I thought he came on, and what a difference. What a difference he made. 100% passing accuracy in a half of football. Really good from Nathan Ake. I was impressed by just his presence. There was assurances provided thanks to his appearance on the pitch. 77 touches, but the stats tell a different story. I think if you watch the game, there's no coincidence that Nathan Ake comes on and we stop giving it away at the back and we start to break out from the back really well. The 100% passing accuracy tells you that story, but 0 key passes, 0 tackles, 2 clearances, 0 aerial duels and 0 interceptions. So defensively, very little to do, because RB Leipzig offered pretty much nothing in that second half. So we were looking at more of our defenders in an attacking sense, and what are they offering offensively? On the ball ability. Nathan Ake comes on and provides 100% passing accuracy, so he deserved his 7 as far as I'm concerned. Rico Lewis, he was lively. Should have got a goal. Should have got a goal in that first half. He ballooned that over the bar. He's got to try and keep that down. But I thought he was really lively. He could have got himself an assist. Haaland's poor touch. Rico Lewis finds Erling Haaland, who lets it run across his body. Haaland tries to cushion it with his right foot, which was the right thing to do. It was just a poor touch, and ricochets about 5 or 6 yards away from Erling Haaland, so the chance is gone at that point. But if Haaland kills that, he's getting a shot away and likely should score as well. And Rico Lewis could be walking away with an assist. I thought he was decent. But you know what Rico Lewis got statistically? 6.7. 6.7, so I wasn't far short of what I gave him, but I thought he was better than that. He's more than in the 6s, definitely, for Rico Lewis. But 93% passing accuracy, 1 big chance missed, that one that he missed that I mentioned earlier in the first half. 1 out of 1 dribble successful, and he gave the ball away 4 times in 90 minutes of football. That's really good ball retention. 7 out of 10 for Rico Lewis. Rodri, the man who got a bit of stick off me yesterday. Look at those stats. Do they tell the story of a man who had a bad game? No, they do not. And I've had to dig out some deeper stats, long ball accuracy, for example, because they're the ones that were killing us. That's the reason I think he had a bad game. He kept trying these long balls and telegraphing them, cross-field passes that were going across the play, and let their fullback, Raum or Simicam, intercept them so many times, 50% of the time, really. So I thought it was a poor game from Rodri, some sloppy passing, giving it away. 93% passing accuracy, though. I thought it was, that surprises me first of all, but that 7% that's missing from his passing accuracy, the severity of the passes is what the problem was, how poor those passes were and how much trouble it put City in when he gave it away. And that's what's so vital about his position, because he's sitting in front of the defence. If he gives it away, we're exposed, because our defence with the ball splits. We go wide and provide passing networks that are quite expansive and give the ball away, and we're exposed. And Rodri was giving the ball away numerous times and presented counter-attacks for Xavi Simons, who was brilliant yesterday, counter-attacking us with speed. But the stats tell a different story. Do you know what he got statistically? 7.7 statistically. Nearly an 8 out of 10 for Rodri. Are you having a laugh? Are you outside of your mind? That's insane. There's no way he got nearly an 8 out of 10. So that's what's flawed about these stats. They're not indicating, they don't indicate the real errors in the game. You can't identify what is considered an error, what should the player have done and what shouldn't the player have done. They just record the facts as they are, like a pass that goes astray. It doesn't tell you how bad a pass it was or what the outcome of that pass was and how dangerous that pass was to give it away in that position. Just one bad pass, trying a 90-yard ball compared to a 5-yard ball, and he was giving 5-yard balls away. There was one that was Haaland just worked away from him. Haaland was about 5 yards away from him. He passed it. We were 3-2 up at that point. We turned the game around and he was still giving it away. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, Rodri's a superstar. He's an absolute legend for Manchester City, and he's no doubt going to hopefully have a worldie of a game against Spurs. But you call out a bad game when you see a bad game. 5 out of 10 for Rodri is fair. I think I'm bordering on generous, because I don't think he deserved a 4.5 or anything like that, but I think 5 is fair. But 7.7 out of 10? Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And why people rely on stats, they shouldn't be listened to. They shouldn't be listened to. If you solely rely on stats, I don't take you seriously, because there's too much nonsense in the stats side of the game. Jack Grealish, he got a 7 out of 10 statistically. Really? What did he do that deserved a 7 out of 10? Honestly, 54 minutes, 34 touches, 88% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, no shots, 2 dribbles, 1 was successful, 1 interception. He lost the ball 7 times. In 54 minutes, Rico Lewis lost the ball 4 times. Possession lost 4 times for Rico Lewis. Remember that? I've just shown you the graphic. Jack Grealish, in 54 minutes of the game, Rico Lewis played the full 90 minutes and gave the ball away 4 times. Jack Grealish gave it away 7 times in 54 minutes of play. Yet statistically, Jack Grealish got 7 out of 10 and Rico Lewis got 6.7. You telling me Jack Grealish had a better game than Rico Lewis yesterday? Nonsense again with the statistical side of the game. Nonsense. Really, come on. 6 out of 10 for Jack Grealish. And he didn't play bad, Jack Grealish. Don't get me wrong, he did not play bad. That's not what my point is. My point is how flawed these stats are, really. But 6 out of 10 seems fair. Phil Foden, 8 out of 10 for me. Man of the match performance. Really, really good from Phil Foden. 90 minutes played, 76 touches, 90% passing accuracy, 4 key passes is decent. 2 dribbles, 1 of which was successful. 1 shot, 1 on target. Back of the net it goes. 2 big chances created though. Really good. And he lost the ball 11 times. But still, statistically, Phil Foden got 9.4 out of 10. He wasn't that good. He was good, but he wasn't that good. You know what I mean? But he got himself an assist, got himself a goal. I thought he was good. 8 out of 10 for Phil Foden was decent. I don't think anyone in that team deserved more than an 8 out of 10 yesterday. I really don't. I don't think they played that well. But Phil definitely stood above the rest. 8 out of 10. Bernardo Silva, not his greatest game. He was okay. Kept things ticking. A bit anonymous, similar to Jack Grealish. Not that much to talk about. Played the full 90, 51 touches, 90% passing accuracy. A key pass, 2 dribbles, none was successful. A tackle, 1 shot, not on target. 9 times he lost the ball. 6.5 for Bernardo Silva. A quiet and quite ineffective game from Bernardo Silva. Hopefully we see that change against Spurs, because you know he turns up in the big games. Bernardo Silva in a big game. When we play a top 6 team, Bernardo Silva's the man. You know, he always turns up in those big games. So hopefully we'll see that at the weekend against Spurs. Jeremy Doku. Do you want to know what he got statistically? 6.7. 6.7. Talk about impact. There is no coincidence that he comes onto the pitch and we win the game. There is no coincidence. But the stats tell a very different story. Once again, the stats tell a completely polarising story to what really went on, and what I think the majority of level-headed City fans will look at the game and look at Jeremy Doku and see what he provided. Statistically, he didn't provide anything, but his appearance, his tenacity, his ability to just drag the fullback away. Simicam was being turned left, right and centre. He was being ripped to shreds through that game. Using his strength, there was times where Simicam was flying in, trying to hurt him, trying to bounce off him, and he's just a little tank, isn't he? He's an absolute tank, Doku, and he was bouncing off him. He was brilliant, Doku, in his impact, but statistically he was okay, not brilliant. And to get a 6.7, it doesn't indicate. So he got less than Jack Grealish. In other words, Jack, who got 7 out of 10 statistically, Doku gets 6.7. Nonsense. Once again, nonsense. 7.5 for Doku in my book. 7 dribbles, 4 of which are successful. In 36 minutes, he got 41 touches, which is impressive. I mean, he's getting more touches than most of the City midfield in half the amount of time. Honestly, 82% passing accuracy. He needs to improve on that a little bit. But zeros in the rest of the column, and he gave the ball away more than Rodri did. Do you know what I mean? It's insane. It is. It's maddening. It really is, looking at these stats. They're not truthful, are they? Now, moving on. Haaland, 7 out of 10 for me. Did what he does best and get himself a goal. Missed a big opportunity, though, in that first half. He should have got one from that Rico Lewis pass that was right on a plate for him. Just a poor touch, let it get away from him. But 5 shots, 4 of which were on target. That one that missed was a bad miss. He smashed that over the bar in the first half. Got to keep that down. But his finish, tidy. Really good finish from Erling Haaland. Fed beautifully. And, gobbled it up. Really good. Letting that run across his right side, getting it onto his left foot and poking it into that bottom left-hand corner. Really good. 82% passing accuracy from his 24 touches. 1 clearance. I love the fact that he's getting back and clearing from corners as well. Didier Drogba style, getting back to that near post and boom, get out. Defending is part of the game. I saw him get back as well in that second half. He didn't actually block the cross, but his presence helped stop the counter-attack, and he sprinted back and got himself right back, and it was right after he'd just scored, and it was 2-1 at that point, and he was fuming at some of the City players. He turned around and was like, I've just got us back in the game. Why are we giving away the ball again for them to counter-attack on us? And I loved that from Erling Haaland. His attitude was spot on yesterday in that second half, but he needed to be a bit more clinical. He was a little bit wasteful. Some of those were headers that were difficult to amount any power, but that one big chance in the first half, but got us back in the game. 7 out of 10 for Erling Haaland. Julian Alvarez, I think I've seen a lot of mixed opinions. Speaking to my old man who thought Julian Alvarez did really well when he came on. I thought he was a little bit sloppy when he came on. His touches were a little bit wayward. His stats, pretty decent, though. I don't think he was that assured on the ball. He got himself a goal, but arguably who's missing from there? It was harder to miss in that situation. It landed very kindly to him on the edge of the 6-yard box with a gaping goal to aim at. Harder to miss, but still, right place, right time. Well played for being in there and getting that finish. We needed it, because thank God he did, because we won the game with that goal. But his impact wasn't quite as big as Doku's, in my opinion, but still enough to bump his score up in the 36 minutes that he was on the pitch. 84% passing accuracy, 2 key passes, 1 shot of which goes into the back of the net, 1 successful dribble. I've popped in the crosses and accurate again because he is our corner taker. I want to see him reduce the amount of corners that he wastes with his corner taking ability. I prefer it when he takes them short, because I think City look better at short corners, to be honest. I think we cause more danger from short corners. But yeah, 3 which of 1 was accurate, and he lost the ball 10 times. 6.5 for Julian Alvarez. I'm not going to do Sergio Gomez because he played for a minute. I'm not going to rate players on a minute of football. It doesn't feel right, to be honest. Wasn't on the pitch long enough to give an opinion on. But I thought the City team had a real mixture of performances. It's good to see Phil Foden back again, because, I mean, against Liverpool, I gave him a 5.5. I thought he was the worst player in our team yesterday, and I said it after the player ratings against Liverpool. I said Phil Foden needs to work on his consistency. Tonight, he's just echoed my thoughts by playing as well as he did yesterday. It's so frustrating that he had that performance against Liverpool. Now we need to see him carry this performance into the Spurs game, which is going to be massive. But the indication is that today's story is all about stats and how they do not tell the whole story, and why you should trust your own opinion. You as a fan should trust your own eyeballs and what the story they tell you. And I love hearing everyone's opinions. I love it. But the ones that solely rely on stats and provide you stats and that's it, and they don't give you why they played well, and they hang their hat on the idea that this stat proves my point. It doesn't. It absolutely does not. There is not enough accurate, in particular for defenders, errors, things like that. They're not recorded accurately. There's not enough. It's not a fair experiment. It's not a fair test to get these stats and give you accurate narratives as to what actually went on. But what do you think? What do you think happened yesterday? Do you think it was, am I being too harsh on the City players? Do you think I'm being fair? Do you think I'm being too generous? Do you think some of them need the knife sticking in a bit harder? I don't think that's the case at all. But at the end of the day, we come away with 3 points and we are top of Group G, and we are now into the knockout stages with the home leg, second leg advantage, which is decent, really good. But get your opinions in the comment sections below. I really want to hear them. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical City.